You know what's sad? I only made 2 spooky videos for October. I was busy, okay, but I thought now, to make up for it, I'd make another spooky video covering a whole bunch of spooky topics to make up for it. Sure, why not? Let's talk about the first thing we're gonna talk about. Yeah, and that is centipedes. Can I just say, not a huge fan of centipedes. I just think all of this is a little much, don't you think? Centipedes have got a lot going on. Like, I don't know, it's just, do you really need that many legs, is all I'm saying. But I've learned, this isn't really a disturbing fact, it's more of an upsetting fact. Centipedes, their Latin name is 100 legs, but because they always have an odd number of legs, right? So they can never have exactly 100 legs, which makes me upset. Also, they can have up to 177 pairs of legs. That's just too many. I'm just not a huge fan of centipedes. Not as waxy as they look, apparently. Sure, why not? Centipedes can bite, yeah, great, and are speedy, and are predators. This is making me anxious. Okay, let's just move on. Here's more. Yeah, I was looking at this centipede the other day, and doesn't it kind of look like, I counted the legs, and it seems like it has like an even number of legs. I don't know, is this a leg? If this is a leg, then it has an odd number of legs, but I can't tell what this is. Here, I'll count them really fast for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Are these legs? I don't know. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. See, it has 38 legs, unless this is a leg. I don't know, is this a leg? It could, it looks like a leg. Let's say this is a leg. Okay, it has an odd number of legs. Great. Let's just move on. I don't care about this. Disagree. Fine. Lizards. Lizards. Look at this. Look at this. It's shooting blood out of its eyes to ward off predators. That's scary. Squirting bloods at snakes, rats, or even humans. It does little to help the regal horned lizard, but for some reason it's very effective against canids and felids like coyotes and bobcats. I don't know, I feel like it would be effective against most humans, including me. A lizard shooting blood out of its eyes at me, that's pretty freaky. Yeah, great. Let's move on. Lanugo? I don't know. This is kind of more gross than scary. Newborns. Not even newborns, before they're newborns. Almost borns, I guess you could say. Fetuses. They when they're in the womb, they start to grow body hair called the lanugo. Get this, lanugo grows on fetuses as a normal part of gestation, but is usually shed and replaced by vellus hairs at about 33 to 36 weeks of gestational age. Stay with me. As lanugo is shed from the skin, it is normal for the hair to be consumed by the developing fetus, since it drinks from the amniotic fluid and urinates into its environment. As a result, lanugo contributes to the newborn's menarcheum, which is like the first, like defecation. Great. So I don't know if you're following along there, but essentially, almost borns. Fetuses, they grow a bunch of hair, then they shed it, and then they eat all the hair, and then they poop it out. Great. That's something that I like to know about. I don't know what separates lanugo from other types of hair. Apparently it's different. Apparently this is supposed to be lanugo. I don't know what this is, and this picture just makes me very uncomfortable overall, I would say. What is this? I don't know. Let's move on. The Venthaven Museum, the world's only museum dedicated to ventriloquism. Oh, gee, I wonder why. Look at all the dummies. But look at all these pictures of these ventriloquism dolls. I have a lot of questions. First of all, is this a real woman, or is this I can't tell. just look at what's going on with this one. I could just look at pictures of dummies all day. That was a real woman, because now it's different. Look at. Okay, it doesn't matter. Ventriloquism, pretty creepy. What's even more creepy, hundreds of ventriloquism dolls. That's what I think. Is this Donald Trump? I can't tell. It's probably not. Okay, let's move on. Chainsaws. Pretty useful for cutting wood, but that's not what they were invented for. They were invented for helping with childbirth, which the first time I heard that, I was like, yeah, that sounds fake. But apparently it's not, from what I can tell. In the it's the chainsaws. Okay, I should say. Oh, does it have a picture of like the original chainsaw? Yeah, like it was a hand crank. But still, this is still a chainsaw, and you could still like shock your friends, like, oh, chainsaws were invented for childbirth. This is pretty scary. Before cesarean sections, if a baby was too large to pass through the birth canal, parts of the pelvis would be removed. So you would just need to get like a small knife and just like hack away at the pelvic bones until the baby could like fit. And apparently, it was very painful for the women, and probably pretty dangerous to just like remove a large section of their pelvic bone with a small knife. So they're like, yeah, let's invent the chainsaws. It'll be way less painful and way faster. Sure, probably is. Why not? I think the real scary thing about this is that childbirth is scary, and thank God for modern medicine, right? Yay. Let's move on. Yeah, here's a chicken, but you might notice that it doesn't have a head. Mike the Headless Chicken. Great. When did this happen? September 10th, 1945, a farmer named Lloyd Olson wanted dinner, I guess, chopped off the head of a chicken, but the chicken just kept on living. He missed, which is crazy. The chicken went on to live another 18 months, and like Lloyd Olson was probably pretty happy because it made him a lot of money, I think. It made him like, because he like toured this chicken as like a sideshow attraction kind of deal, but he made like a lot of money. He made like tens of thousands of dollars off of this chicken. But just look at it, this poor chicken. It just is that its face? My God. Now that is astonishing. Look at its face. How is this possible, you might be wondering? Well, apparently chickens are not very complex creatures, and it could like walk around, and it would like attempt like to eat and like to like, you know, groom its feathers, but it couldn't because it didn't have a head. And it's like, how could it do all of this? Well, apparently when Mike chopped off the head of this chicken, he missed the jugular vein, and he left the brainstem intact. Well, apparently the brainstem in chickens are responsible for most of the like necessary functions like breathing and heart rate and such. Okay, sure. And like his blood, this chicken's blood just must have clotted really fast, so he didn't bleed to death. Yeah, and he could just a happy chicken, and like in order to feed it, like they had to like shove food down its throat, which is gross. I think, how did it die? It died because it was like choking on a kernel of corn that it got caught in its throat. And that's sad. It didn't even die because like of a reason you would expect, like, oh, it died because its head was removed for 18 months. Of course it's gonna die. It died because it choked to death, which is lame. Anyways, this poor chicken, honestly. But also kind of cool. Low head dams. Very scary. apparently pretty dangerous. This like little dam right here. I read about this in a pamphlet when I was like a child. And like I used to have like nightmares about low-head dams. Because they're so dangerous. Because at the bottom, it can make like these dangerous currents. Like I have this picture. Yeah, you can very easily become trapped in this type of current right here. Apparently, it's very hard to escape from these currents, and like it's very hard to rescue people that are trapped in these currents. Like you have to have like reasonably, you have to have like special training and like special equipment to save a person from these types of equipment. Like there are people that have like gotten caught in these currents, and other people have gone in to try to save them, and then they both drown. Like that's how dangerous these like currents are. And I think what just terrifies me so much about this is that it doesn't seem that dangerous. Like these dams, it's like only a few feet high, and yet it's like super dangerous. And that's one of the things that just terrifies me, is that things that don't look dangerous but are actually very dangerous. I think that is a reasonable fear, and that's probably why I had nightmares all the time about these dams, which is really dumb. Whatever. Pretty scary, right? I think so. Yeah, okay. Lots of people have died in these types of dams. Also, I read that like, it is unpleasant because there could be like debris in the river. Like there could be like, I don't know, branches or something that are just like hitting you as you're like tumbling around in this current. Also, because like of this current was very frothy. There's a lot of air bubbles, so that the density of this water is like lower than normal water, so it's even harder to float in. So even if you're wearing like a life jacket, like it's hard to like not die in these currents. Now you know. Great. Do we have anything else? Yeah, okay. So these are a few. I have a story about this. This is a bunch of pictures of cults, and it will make sense in a little bit. But first I have to tell you my story, which overall is pretty spooky, and I think it fits this video. A few weeks ago, I was just walking. I was just having a nice walk in the afternoon. A nice peaceful walk. And this woman comes up to me, and she looks like maybe in her mid-20s. And she asked me, "Can I ask you a few questions?" Which was weird, but I'm like, okay, sure. And she just like, I don't know what she was. I thought she needed directions. Okay, that's why I said yeah. And she just started talking about like just like weird questions, like what's your name? That's what a weird question. What's your name? But no, like what's your name? Like what's your major? Like what are you studying? That sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird, but like, okay, sure. Okay, and then this was a red flag. There were so many red flags, and there were so many times where I could have just left, but I didn't. And before you get mad at me, I have learned now. I was just unprepared. I was just trying to have a nice walk, and this woman comes up and talks to me, and frankly, that's just scary. That's scary in and of itself. A woman talking to me. Great. So anyways, we were talking at this table. This was the second red. This is like the fourth red flag at this point. It's the following question that she asks me. She asks me, "Do you believe in God?" After we're already sitting at this table, right, together and talking. "Do you believe in God?" Red flag. But I didn't. I could have said like, "Oh, I just remembered like I need to be somewhere." No. I said like, "Well, I guess so." And she's like, "Oh, well, I lead a Bible study." Red flag. There's so many red flags, I'm telling you. I lead a Bible study. Do you want me to share, like, our message with you? And I thought she meant, do you want me to, like, send you the details of the Bible study? But I think, like, it's pretty clear that she meant, like, I want to give you the message of God. And that should have been clear to me. So I said yes, and she's like, "Oh, this guy wants to hear about the message of God." let me talk to him for an hour. So that's what she did. She talked to me about the Bible for an hour, and she taught me about the book of Romans. Yeah, and she made me take notes. Here, let me show you. These were the notes that I had to take. That's so... Here, I don't know, I just flashed it really quick. You can look at it if you want to. There's definitely a time where she was like, yeah, homosexuality is a sin, and it's because homosexuals don't believe in God, and they haven't accepted God into their heart. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, that makes me uncomfortable. And then, what else was she talking about? She was talking about, like, oh, you see a lot of, like, depression and anxiety in kids these days, and that's because they don't believe in God. And I'm like, that's probably not the reason. But she didn't talk about that most of the time, but she did bring those two subjects up, and those both made me uncomfortable. That's for sure. And she talked to me for an hour, and afterwards she's like, okay, well, I've talked to you about the book of Romans. When do you want to meet again? So I'm like, I don't know, like next week. So she's like, okay, well, and at this, she's like, oh, can I have your phone number and your, she asked me for my phone number before, like right when we sat down. That's a thing. Don't give your, apparently, if you just ask me my phone number, I'll give it to you, because I'll be just so, like, off-put and, like, unprepared. I shouldn't have given her my real phone number, but I didn't give her my real name. You know, I changed one letter in my last name. Because I thought of it, like, as I was spelling out my last name for her. Yeah, that'll help. Changing one letter in my last name, but giving her my real phone number. So it's like, I literally could have given her a different phone number and just, like, not showed up. But I gave her my real phone number, and then we left. And then she started, like, texting me, like, oh, I'm so excited for us to meet next week. And I'm like, oh, no. Before we left, I forgot to even mention this. Before we left, she's like, okay, well, we'll meet next week, and then afterwards, I have to leave and go to San Francisco, which is where I live. But we'll keep doing a Bible study online. She lives in San Francisco. But the city of cults, probably. I don't know. And she wanted me to join her Bible study, which is based in San Francisco. That's weird. And pretty much everybody that I've told this to is like, yeah, that kind of sounds like a cult. I probably almost joined a cult on accident, and that's why I bring this up. But then she started texting me right after we left, because she had my phone number, because I gave her my real phone number, not my real name. I don't know how helpful that is. So, like, she just kept texting me, like, oh, I'm so excited to meet. And then the day actually came that we were supposed to meet, and she's like, well, I'm so excited for today. And I'm just like, my plan was just to, like, ghost her and just, like, not respond at all. But she just kept texting me. She texted me like 5 times. So I just texted her like, hi, Mary, like, I'm sorry, like, I lied and said that I was already in a Bible study and that I couldn't join two. I'm definitely not in 2 Bible studies already, but that's what I told her, because I thought it would make her happy to know that I was already a child of God, right? I said, like, oh, I'm actually in a Bible study. I don't have time to be in 2 Bible studies, but thanks for, like, sitting and talking to me for an hour. And I thought that would make her happy, because it's like, at least this guy is going, like, learning about God, even though I'm not, but that doesn't matter. She thinks that I am, right? Because I told her I was already in a Bible study. Yeah, okay. Yeah, she was not happy, actually. She wanted me to be in that Bible study. She was like, our Bible study is way better than whatever crap Bible study you're going to. That's kind of what it was like. That's not what she said. But it was like that's kind of the vibe. Yeah. But then after she sent me that, she didn't text me that anymore. She didn't text me after that. So I would say mission accomplished. I've successfully exited a cult. I've joined and exited a cult within a week. So there you go. Probably. It probably was a cult. It might have not been, but probably. It's just like weird, right? Why would you like recruit someone? I definitely do not live in San Francisco, is what I'm trying to say. Why would you like recruit someone to your Bible study that like lives like hundreds of miles away from where your Bible study actually is, and like just do it online? Eventually she'd be like, oh, why don't you move to San Francisco and join our Bible study? Yes, that's what it is. I don't know. But in the end of the day, I think that's good. And I've learned, and that's okay. So there you go. That's my story. And that's the end of the spooky video that I made. So thanks for watching, and yeah, great.